All right, and there's the countdown. It is the Root KiWiKaKi versus 6 Jacks Artosis. This is the final match of the day. Both players are 0-1 in their group, and a lot of you are saying, what? Root KiWiKaKi 0-1 in the group? Yes. Fnatic MSI Phoenix taking him down. And he's going to be looking to redeem himself here. Now, of course, we talked about this in the pregame show, and it's worth mentioning here as well. Artosis unknown in PvP. In fact, Artosis unknown as a Protoss almost entirely in StarCraft 2, and that's not necessarily because he's not a great player. He certainly is. But also the very nature of PvP, because of foregating, because of, well, DTs, Blink Stalkers, all the openings, essentially, of PvP. There is a certain random factor to this matchup, and KiWiKaKi can't be completely comfortable.
Yeah, but we're going to see, I think KiWiKaKi, he's just going to be playing robust. That's his style. He has to be playing that way. We do have close positions as well, so there's going to be a lot of foregating going on for both of these players, I'm sure. As you can see in the 9 o'clock position, we do have KiWiKaKi spawning in as the yellow Protoss, and in the 12 o'clock position as the blue Protoss, we have 6 Jacks Artosis. So because of these close positions, I mean, you are a resident expert in Protoss. Tell us a little bit about close positions and why we see foregate so much.
Well, I mean, it just encourages aggression again. I mean, any kind of fast expansion build like a lot of people do for... I will answer that question, just so that they're not left to the same devices of earlier, because there is a little bit of map confusion going on right now. We're in flux. We are going to change the maps. Before we do, we need to talk to every team leader and make sure that every team consents to that happening, so that there's not one player who's been practicing the outdated maps and all of a sudden they're caught unawares. We're trying to do this as best we can, but we'll break away from that for now. It's funny too that this is like the last day the close positions will be here, and we got close positions like 5 times or something like that. But in close positions, it's not as prevalent to see expansion builds because timing is so much more effective when there's less distance to traverse. So a lot of people are like, okay, well, if I can't do my expansion build, if I don't macro here, what do I do? Well, oftentimes that means foregate. Now, it doesn't necessarily only mean foregate. You can do things like Blink Stalker timings. But again, even that is mitigated by the fact that part of the reason you get Blink Stalkers is because they're so fast, and Artosis is going to lose a probe. He's got to feel a little bit silly about that.
No, actually,
that was KiWiKaKi.
He lost the probe.
Maybe Artosis still feels silly. He's actually a goofy guy. Now, Artosis opting for the second gateway, which a lot of people have coined the Artosis build. You will go ahead and make 3 Stalkers, and the intention of the build is to thwart off any kind of foregate. But as we can see, KiWiKaKi is opting for a very similar opening. Looking at the Chrono Boost, Artosis is hovering at 50 Chrono Boost, now utilizing another Chrono Boost, so that he actually drops himself a little bit below there.
Oh, and Artosis not starting up Warp Gate. Oh, starting up late.
Well, that's okay. He actually got the Stalker out a little bit faster, and he wants to do that. He wants to scout out any kind of proxy pylon, and Artosis actually could lose his probe if he's not careful. He should leave here pretty soon. Or die, so that he can get the most information out of it. In fact, if he gets away here, it will be a hero, because it stayed to the last possible second. And does he avoid the cliff? And he does! Okay, good. So the probe does get home. Not a big deal at all. Again, I just like to raise my voice in those not that big of situations at all. Now, Artosis is on double gas. Meanwhile KiWiKaKi's adding his 3rd and 4th gateway, as well as his 2nd gas. Very peculiar. That's not your typical foregate. Typically, it's off of 1 gas so that you can have more oomph with your attack. You can warp in more Zealots, more Stalkers, that kind of thing. With the double gas, usually that signifies something like Blink Stalkers. Or you can actually just do Robo from here, and you're playing it super safe, because defensive foregate dismantles offensive foregate, obviously.
Yes. And on top of that, we do see a Robo going down for Artosis, followed up with another gateway. So both these players doing sort of a defensive type of style to deal with an aggressive foregate, but neither of them doing an aggressive foregate. And in terms of who's farther ahead, I can't put anyone definitively ahead, but if there's no battles that go on, having this robotics facility out beforehand helps Artosis quite a bit, I think.
Well, there's a couple things to look at. For a while, PvP was far and away my worst matchup, and it wasn't just my worst matchup, it was a matchup I wasn't doing well at. And one of the things I looked through and found out about it was I wasn't making enough harvesters. If you pull down that income tab, you will see Artosis might be struggling with the same thing. He's sitting at 23 Harvesters, not making any right now. Now, meanwhile, KiWiKaKi, a fantastic Protoss, one of the best in the world, you'll look, he never stops making Harvesters, and that's why he's at 28 versus a 23. And a big part of the reason why that's so critical is both players are dealing with the same stuff, but if one guy just simply is bringing more money,
yeah,
then that's bad news bears, man.
Bad news bear indeed. And 6-Jax Artosis getting in here with an Observer, sees what's going on, sees the 4 warp gates, and also sees the robotic facility.
Oh, and he
coming
pauses.
out.
You got to get out of here, dude.
Yeah.
And he knows, okay, good. So the Observer will survive, and that's actually a really big deal. If the Observer gets picked off, the valuable time and money that it costs on that Robo is really harmful, especially in the early stage of this game. Now, that Observer from KiWiKaKi actually might play tag with the Observer of Artosis, and what that essentially means is they kind of cancel each other out.
Yes.
Unless one player can trick the other and bring it within range of his stalkers.
It's just on follow command, both of them, I guess, scouting the entire bottom of the map, let's say. And KiWiKaKi looks like he wants to push out a little bit here. And he does have the superior force, however...
No sentries
for no
Artosis.
Sentries up for Artosis. That's
huge mistake, but you know what? Like, you almost anticipate there being a sentry. You just have to. KiWiKaKi is taking a poke, and he's like, what? You have no sentry?
Oh, and
Zealots get warped in here, and the Colossus will come out.
Oh, beautiful timing.
Bait a little bit. And, okay, Artosis can play it safe and actually just back away. And he actually already has his Lance upgrade at just about 50%. And here comes his second Colossus. So he is ahead in tech. KiWiKaKi is about halfway done with his first Colossus.
KiWiKaKi is playing very bold, moving up in this direction. He really cannot. Shelling out a little bit of damage. Oh! Losing one of the Stalkers.
Yeah.
And the Mortal just going to take shield damage. Not too much happening with that. But we do see in the back of KiWiKaKi's base, he's getting his own Thermal Lance, and he's getting his own Colossus as well. But Artosis is going to have the better count for sure.
Yep. A little bit of tickling going on there. KiWiKaKi just kind of poking and trying to take advantage of what he can. Artosis will start his third Colossus just now. If you look at the ground armies, I got to give the advantage to perhaps KiWiKaKi with that Immortal. The Immortal has a lot of capability, but he is behind in Zealots. The other thing, too, though, is that he does have that Sentry at full mana, and what that can essentially do is Guardian Shield acts as a huge difference maker now. KiWiKaKi's got to be careful, actually. He could lose an Immortal free, essentially.
He just wants to get that one pylon, but it's not going to be worth it. Now one Colossus joins the fight. And I really like that point. The Immortal is extremely important as long as there's good micro, but what Artosis is doing, which I love, is just getting a lot of Zealots, and it negates that Immortal quite a bit.
He's adding the fourth gate. He does have 3 Colossus to the 1 of KiWiKaKi. Now 2. KiWiKaKi will have the range upgrade. And the first shot's going to Artosis.
He doesn't have the range yet.
This Colossus actually took a lot of damage in just that little exchange. It's going to come down to micro. Look at the Immortal swinging around. It's getting shots off on the Colossus. KiWiKaKi pushing forward, targeting it down. One Colossus does go down. And KiWiKaKi's going to come out.
He's going to lose his own.
Stalkers. Targeting. Oh, they were targeting the Colossus. It's sitting at 4 health, and it could escape with its life. It's only got 1 shot left in it. 1 shot to live. 1 life to live, actually. And now, okay, the Colossus actually trade lives with each other.
Oh, no.
And Artosis is definitely behind.
Yes, Artosis is going to lose this last Colossus now. And that is a big hit for him, as KiWiKaKi is just about to get his Colossus out as we speak. Yes, it pops up right now. Artosis has to back up. But both of them on the same production. However, KiWiKaKi is ahead if we can go to the income tab. 31 probes to 28. So it's not that huge. But
translates to like roughly 60 minerals more a minute, though. You know, it's significant enough.
Yeah. Now KiWiKaKi looks to be pressuring this one pylon over here.
He is attacking that pylon. And actually even killed the Observer, kind of a small victory in that sense. And I like this, just kind of trying to take a small advantage. Artosis is forced to react, does push forward, gets a shot off on that Colossus, but not that big of a deal. He will regenerate those shields rather quickly, actually, if you click on that. And here we go, another little poke. Now, this is going to come down to micro. 4 Stalkers do touch in for Artosis, and if you guys are hearing knocking in the background, that's because there's somebody banging on the back door of our studio.
Finally, we can see these two Colossus. Just because of the Colossus lead, it's giving him this harass purpose. And now KiWiKaKi is going to back up and just wait a little bit, as 6-Jack's Artosis has a lot of units. However, we do see an 82 to 66 difference in the supplies, so KiWiKaKi is looking ahead on this match.
Yeah, but not as much as I thought. I mean, he's got a lot of zealots, so it's going to kind of come down to how that battle happens. If you spread those out, they can actually do a lot of damage for you. And look at this, KiWiKaKi and Artosis exchanging a few laser beams, if you will. Now 3 Colossus for KiWiKaKi, a 4th one in queue for Artosis. This 3rd one will pop out. But you have to be really careful. I mean, yes, it's nice to kill a couple pylons here and there, of course. But if you take just a little bit too much damage, like if one big focus fire goes down on one of KiWiKaKi's Colossus, you get sloppy for a second. That's his whole army, essentially. That's what he needs.
Yeah. Oh, and taking a couple pot shots, getting into the almost the internal structure for KiWiKaKi's.
Yeah, but Artosis keeps stacking his units on top of each other, and that laser doesn't care what it hits. You can stack 10 zealots on top of each other's shoulder; it will hit 10 zealots.
Yeah. But KiWiKaKi has the beautiful position right now of that outwards, this outwards position, and Artosis looks like he finally wants to push down. Now, do keep in mind that the robotics facility is a little prone, and it looks like KiWiKaKi coming in to attack, gets the first couple shots off.
Oh yeah, all those zealots are going to get fried up.
Oh no,
and that means
not
there's
good.
more warm bodies for KiWiKaKi to diversify the fire from Artosis, and we can kind of see that actually. A little bit of fire confusion, but look at KiWiKaKi spacing out his Colossus.
That is
Artosis trying to do the same, but he's not able to keep toe. One Colossus will go down for KiWiKaKi. Might have spoken a little bit too soon. A Colossus does go down for Artosis. There's the one for KiWiKaKi. But too much production. Stalker's walking forward. And now Artosis' Colossus will die, and with it, his hopes of winning this first game. Just kind of waiting on this for this to get cleared up. Artosis is most certainly dead. There's the GG. And KiWiKaKi takes the first game 1-0. But I gotta say, Artosis impressed me.
Yeah.
In that first fight, he actually had, I want to say, the better army, but his micro wasn't there. Did not execute it. And
I agree.
As a pros player, I can tell you, it's not the easiest thing. A lot of people are like, oh, Colossus, herp, derp, derp, you just attack move. No, actually, in Colossus versus Colossus, both players need to space them out. They need to make sure their matchups are in the proper place. Like, Zealots can run down a Colossus, Stalkers can run down a Colossus, and we actually saw that opportunity wasted by Artosis. There was a Colossus with 4 health that evaded the fire of a Stalker sitting right next to it. So, little things like that translate to big victories.
Yeah, and on top of that, he did have the Immortal, don't forget. It was able to get little bit of pot shots, although he...
Well, a pot shot from an Immortal is like getting hit by a semi-truck, man.
Artosis did have the extra Colossus, but the fact that KiWiKaKi had the pylon situated right there, he was just like, oh, let me reinforce.
Yep.
Good to go. And I think that's the big thing. His reinforcements got him the advantage in that mid-fight, and from there, KiWiKaKi just able to kill a couple pylons, be efficient, and ultimately get the advantage there.
Absolutely.
So that's going to do it for that, and KiWiKaKi is up 1-0 over 6-Jack's Artosis. We're going to be moving on into Game 2 right now.
Into game number 2. Now, a lot of you are looking at this and saying, why is it Tal'Darim Alter? We actually had yet another website mistake. It did show the picture for Tal'Darim. Artosis has practiced this. The emails and the announcements we made for the maps did say otherwise. It did say Terminus, so that's why in our group play, you'll notice that we played Terminus for everybody else, and that's because they went off the emails. But out of fairness to Artosis and KiWiKaKi, we're going to go with the map that they thought it was. That's not the best situation at all. It should be Terminus, but these players prepared for a different map. So we will take responsibility for that, and you know, really sorry, guys. We gotta make those out of the way. But it is what it is. Both these players did practice for this map. They are ready for this map, so we are not robbed of an illegitimate series we would have been had we just pulled a fast one on them and said, it's Terminus now. So with that being said, let's get into it. We do have the purple Artosis from 6 Jacks in the lower right-hand corner, and in the far left-hand corner, we do have the yellow Protoss, Root KiWiKaKi from Root Gaming. Check them out at root-gaming.com. Fantastic team. We did just see Cats win actually last week in fantastic form against one goodie.
Yeah, and KiWiKaKi, he's looking in good shape this week around. He does look like, I mean, he's on the verge. He only needs one game more to take this series. But again, going back to what you were saying before, both these players did agree to play on Tel'Dorima. We got confirmation.
This is a legitimate match.
They know, and both of them have practiced it, so it's not going to be too detrimental. But again, a huge.
It's not. This is a real match. It's just. It would. That's all.
Yeah, of course. But we can see both of them mirroring each other's build very closely, assimilator and gateway up. Very standard. Now, do keep in mind that there is no ramp or a single force field ramp on this map.
Correct.
So it makes it very dangerous to go some sort of, or rely on any form of sentries to keep you safe. So in that respect, I think early game pressure is what we will see from both these players, or at least a lot of units in this early game stage.
Well, it's a big map for Blink Stalker. If you look at how big this map is, the mobility of the Blink Stalker comes into play much more effectively on a map like this. Also, 4-gate openings, because there is no ramp, because a sentry does not save you, a lot of people will opt for the 4-gate. Now, that's mitigated to a certain extent by how big this map is. You have to broadcast the 4-gate a lot more openly, I suppose we could say. And if the other player is doing like a defensive 4-gate or a fast robo and they get those immortals out, they have the opportunity to capitalize on that. So a lot of players will actually opt as the safer aggressive build, which is the Blink Stalker. But right now we do see the Artosis build, if you will, being opened up from Artosis. Meanwhile, KiWiKaKi will go with that 4-gate. And this is that variation, actually, that we call the Korean Horror Gate. It's super, super fast. You'll note that he was not mining gas for a while there. His warp gate is nearly done. He did get out of Stalker so fast that he was able to snipe the probe of Artosis before he ever saw it.
Yeah.
Now Artosis does have his own Stalker out. And actually this is not the Horror Gate, because he's now starting to mine gas. Typically you stay off the gas and you build pylons in the base of your opponent. You will not be opting for that. And that pylon is discovered. Artosis now knows, oh crap, there's stuff going to be appearing outside my base, but the warp in is unfortunately already coming into effect. Actually, if Artosis were to focus on that pylon, he would have gotten it. That will not be the case, and here we go. He's got to focus it down, and no, he doesn't. He's going to be trapped. He's got to evade. He's got to get out of here. He's going to take too much damage. But his own warp in is actually almost done. He does Chrono Boost this, so he's got to buy some time here, but I don't know if he has time on his side.
We can see KiWiKaKi moving into position. He has 2 Zealots along with his army.
Oh, he's going to lose that pylon.
But if Artosis gets his warp gate up fast enough, we do see warp gates are now transitioning as we speak, and there are 2 more gateways on the way. However, KiWiKaKi is due for just another set of units, and they are going to be streaming in momentarily. 5 Stalkers and 2 Zealots out for KiWiKaKi. There's only 4.
Defensive 4-gate.
Oh no.
He's in good position. He is actually up 2 probes.
Oh,
he's able to produce here. 3 Zealots are fantastic. KiWiKaKi is actually in a really tough spot, I gotta say. If Artosis can manage his economy, we do have 2 pylons going down, which does indicate he mismanaged his economy a little bit there, but Artosis is going to start firing away. It's 5 Stalkers in the back for him, 5 Stalkers in the back for KiWiKaKi, and that warp in, oh, and it goes down instantly. Artosis got to manage the micro here. That Zealot is wailing away on his units. He's got to handle this a little bit better, but again, 2 more Stalkers do come out. It's now 4 Stalkers versus the 5. And look at this, a little bit of micro from KiWiKaKi. He is known for that. He's able to pick off 2 of those Zealots for little to no damage. Artosis, able to return the favor, but it is... I feel like, in each of these exchanges, KiWiKaKi is coming out just by sheer volume of his ability to control his army.
Yes, and we do have additional Stalkers moving in. Artosis is behind in both Stalkers and Zealots. And it does look like he's not looking good. Ooh, nice pickoff by the Stalker. And now KiWiKaKi loses another Stalker. But I think the sheer mass of Artosis is just too much, and we can see...
Artosis keeps trying to warp in directly on top of KiWiKaKi, and KiWiKaKi rightfully keeps picking them off.
Yeah.
Artosis got to wise up to it. He does it again. Artosis stop. Okay, well, that Zealot does slide in there. It's going to get some damage in, but still not able to maximize that damage because they're dying faster than they can get in.
Now working on probes.
Artosis does have more units, though. If he's able to swing around here, and there he goes. He's got to focus down the Stalkers. He's got to kill the Stalkers. Another one does ink forward. And again, Artosis might just have the better build here, but man, he's got to start controlling this a little bit more carefully.
Keep in mind, he does have less economy right now, but Artosis looking good. He has more Stalkers than his opponent, KiWiKaKi. So if this attack fails, if KiWiKaKi pushes in again, the attack will fail, barring that Artosis has equal micro. Now we can see the direct push out coming in from Artosis.
Well, we'll see. He's actually starting. I mean, he might have pushed a little bit too far in there. His units are being targeted down. One Stalker does go down. Another goes down. The Zealots, another one almost goes down. And now Artosis is going to go ahead and guide his Zealots forward, getting some good shots off on the Stalkers of KiWiKaKi. One does go down. Second goes down. It's now 4 Stalkers versus 4. And actually, Artosis running himself in a circle, and he's getting outnumbered tremendously. There's the GG. Artosis will fall 0-2. And, that one hurts just a little bit because he had the advantage. But in each of those altercations, KiWiKaKi, with his fantastic micro, was able to come out on top.
Yeah, KiWiKaKi actually overextended all the way to the right-hand side of Artosis' base. Or actually, it would be your right is over there. But my right's this way. Your right over there, as soon as he went in, he got out of position. And because of that, he was able to kill some of the 2 Zealots. He did get 3 probes in that altercation. However, as soon as the Stalker count got up, KiWiKaKi was in a world of hurt. And with that push out, I think it was too inefficient. He should have just blown down the rocks, kept his unit lead, and then as soon as the rocks fell down, then he can push out. But moving into a Protoss, you're generally, not always, but generally less efficient just because you don't have the concave.
And, Artosis did fall 0-2, but KiWiKaKi is one of the best Protoss players in the world. I gotta say, for Artosis, he impressed me. In that first game, he had his advantages. He could have capitalized. He did miss that opportunity, so unfortunately he lost. In game number 2, he had his advantages. I think he could have won. I checked KiWiKaKi's base just to make sure. No probes being produced, no second gas. If Artosis holds that off definitively, he does go on to win that 9 times out of 10. As good as KiWiKaKi is, with that big of an economical disadvantage, it's almost impossible to come back from. Now, of course, we saw Maru do that, so I can't say it is impossible, but it's really, really hard to do. But Artosis, again, just kind of showing his, I don't necessarily want to call it inexperience, because he did just freshly switch to Protoss a couple months ago, but certainly KiWiKaKi is the more classy Protoss player in the sense that he knows how to come out of those situations on top, and he did it.
Yeah. And so a huge congratulations to KiWiKaKi, taking that series 2-0, and he is now 1-1. Unfortunately, Artosis is going to fall 0-2 and be 0-2 in Division 1. But I still have hope for you, man. I'm rooting for you, Artosis, to be honest. Oh, no, I just told my bias.
Don't do that. Well, now we're compromised.
Yep, our whole
Houston, this is in control. Yep, they found out that we favor some players over others. What do you want us to do? Just keep going? All right, just keep going with it. That's fine.
So that's going to do it for today. That was match number 5, of course. And thank you guys for tuning in. I know we have a lot of things to say beforehand, but...
Yeah, a few big thanks. We do want to give some thanks to Underline Entertainment. Their new website is underlineent.com.
Awesome. They've
helped make some awesome music for us. They have some future projects you guys certainly should check out. Fantastic people over there. We also want to thank wellplayed.org. They did a little bit of a bit for us at the beginning of the show.